Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. This is such a great time to be an RPG enthusiast. We've just had Baldur's Gate and now we've got Rogue Trader, and right out of the gate I want to let you know that I'm loving my time with Rogue Trader. I haven't finished it yet. It's a huge game. I'm about 20 hours in, so I have less of a review perhaps and more of a first impressions, given that that's the case. I just didn't have time to play it as much as I really wanted to before this was due to go up, so there you go. Time is a thing and I am subject to it like most things, unfortunately. So Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader is actually named after the original 40k game, because I actually had that one. I think it was don't have it anymore, but it's just a big soft cover book with purple Imperial fists on the cover, if I recall correctly, and one of them is wielding a orc's head as a weapon. Weird. But yeah, it was either first or second edition, I can't remember which one. But it was like the precursor to the 40k that we have nowadays. And the game itself takes the Rogue Trader part and expands upon it, because you do play the titular Rogue Trader. A Rogue Trader is basically one of the aristocracy and has almost unlimited power inside of the Imperium. He's backed by them, has authority to go pretty much anywhere he wants, do whatever he wants. It's really interesting being on that side of it, rather than, you know, just being this washed up sort of person that finds a stick on the beach and has to build from there, kind of thing. So it's really interesting to play from the other end of the spectrum, where you're supposed to have everything, even though you still need to loot weapons and shit like that, rather than just being supplied with the best of everything. But I suppose there'd be no progression if you did that. So you start off being brought aboard a ship for an audience with a Rogue Trader who you happen to be an heir to, and things go from bad to worse when there's a mutiny on board, and the Rogue Trader gets blunked off, and you get her mantle and her ship and all of her subjects that are still living. And just from the word off, it just drips with Warhammer 40k. It's such a delight to be able to play a game that is this much Warhammer, because it is. I mean, a lot of the games really take this sort of Space Marine approach, where, yeah, I'm a Space Marine, I'm part of a chapter of other Space Marines that I fight beside, blah 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 blah. You know, this is far more sort of steeped in the wider lore of the Warhammer universe. So you have the characters like Navigators and Psychers and Tech Priests and all of that good stuff. It reminds me very much of a compilation I read back in the day called Deathwing, which had a bunch of different stories in it, short stories, and they range from a budding psychic on an aggro world to a navigator on a ship, and the perils of a drug called Lacrimator. And it's just, there's so much to the Warhammer universe that has been implemented over the years. It's really nice to see a game that explores some of the sort of more sort of niche elements of it. And the game itself is fantastic. You wonder about. I did have problems first running. This was an epic store purchase for me, because I was taking advantage of the 33% repeatable voucher deal they have over Christmas. So I got this for about 24 quid, which I was very happy about. But it also does have what seems to be an ongoing problem with Epic, in the fact that it needs to link your Epic account to the game account, and if you have like Afterburner running, for some reason this just won't happen. Now, previously it stopped the game from running. In this case though, it disabled my mouse and keyboard, so I was unable to play it with anything but a joypad, and I couldn't put text in. So my main game, my Rogue Trader, is called Rogue Trader. But it did give me the ability to, well, the opportunity to try it with a gamepad rather than mouse and keyboard, which is of course how I would normally play. And it works absolutely fine on joypad, to be perfectly honest with you. It actually changes the HUD, the overlay, to a different one depending on your control style, so that's really interesting, and it's a really good idea actually. So you have obviously like hotbars and stuff like that with your mouse and keyboard, and otherwise you have like things you can bring up. You can bring up menus from the bottom. It's a much less cluttered display on gamepad, but it's all still there and all reasonably functional. So go them fellas. So if you are having problems with keyboard and mouse when you're booting it and you bought it off Epic, disable Afterburner, Reaver Tuner, just end those processes, launch the game once, it connects your account, and then you can turn it back on and have an overlay and whatever else you want on it. So there you go. The combat is really up my alley. I sort of looked at it when I was considering buying it and going, oh, it's just more XCOM like everybody does. And yes, to a certain degree that is the case, but it is just so fun. I mean, certainly in the early stage, you're just melting everything around you, and you get access to the navigator character, and you can just use her third eye to obliterate like a cone of enemies in front of you. Combat goes from sort of challenging to power fantasy a little bit. I would probably advise playing the combat on slightly higher than normal. Of course, I am a big fan of power fantasy, so I like to play on less than normal. Because, yeah, melting people is cool. I like it. It's running, just absolutely running rampant through hordes of enemies. And you will fight hordes of enemies. They throw a lot of things at you. A lot of it is sort of D&D style chunky salsa, in that, like, there are a lot of, like, bad guys that you can kill in one shot. But there's also some bad guys that take a lot more damage. But it is enjoyable, and you will be like, oh my god, all these guys, I'm dead. And then after the first time, you've decimated like 3/4 of them, you're like, oh, it's fine. You really have to like think about the way you do it as well, because when you start off, you have a character who is melee focused, and he has the ability to hit one thing or do a cleave, which can hit like a few things that are around you. And then you have your abilities as well. So the way it works is you move, then you fire or smack things, but at any point you can trigger your abilities as well. Once you've like attacked something, generally speaking, without an ability backing it up or like a buff, you can't move again, unless you use one of those abilities that has movement. So this guy, like, I can move up to like 2 guys, take a swing, and then he's got an ability called charge, which will take him to another guy, and you can take a swing at him as well. So he was like putting 3 people down on each turn. It was ridiculous. You can also burst fire a lot of your weapons, so instead of just aiming at one guy, you sort of aim at a clump of them, and then you have a chance of like killing them all. You have a lot of abilities that are area effect. Do be careful though, because a lot of them can jump to your own guys. Like your Psyker has the ability to throw lightning that will chain. If your guys are too close, it will chain to them as well, so just be on your guard. Same for rapid fire. If your guys are in the way of you rapid firing, you might hit them. There are abilities which can negate that stuff. I think it's like precision shot or something like that, where you can rapid fire, and basically if you use that ability, you won't hit your own guys, you just hit the bad guys. So I really enjoy the combat. As I said, if you're like seriously into these things, if you like no sweat Baldur's Gate, then I would probably crank the difficulty up, but I'm having fun just going through and murdering everybody. It's quite fun. You do have 3 sort of separate moralities you can go through. You've got dogmatic, which is like all heretics must die, I don't care what your excuses are, you get a gun to the fucking head, bye. Yeah, iconoclast, who is still kind of that way inclined, but he will try and like keep as many people alive as possible. And then you have heretical, where you are like blood for the blood god kind of deal. I haven't tried that one yet. That is an interesting one. I kind of like playing against type in a lot of these games. Like I will, like on the Old Republic, I'll be a Jedi, but I'll go dark side with him, or I'll be a Sith and I'll go light side. I like playing against type. So that's quite good. You have a range of backup characters, ranging from Sister of Battle, Space Wolf, Tech Priest, Psyker, Navigator. Tons of them. I was actually surprised at how many you can actually take. You can have up to like 6 characters in your party at once. I thought it was quite a lot. I was expecting like normally like 4 or something. But yeah, you can take 6. So like when you get into the bigger scale engagements, you can really lay down some fire, and it's bloody good fun. As the name would suggest, you are a rogue trader and can buy and sell stuff. You also have a ship that you travel about with. You can do this in Galaxy, in system, or you can warp jump. Warp jumps have different risks associated with them, and you can actually use your navigator to plot new courses as well. So if you can't reach this planet, you can get your navigator to plot a course, and it will start off being like really incredibly dangerous, and then you can use your navigator to like firm up the connection so it becomes safer and safer. A lot of the time, for instance with Orange, you'll almost guarantee to get attacked, but it also opens up sort of exploration opportunities and random encounters that you may not see otherwise by taking riskier corridors through the warp. The way the warp is, if you don't know, it's sort of a nether space that this is the sort of fast and light travel in the Warhammer 40k universe, but it is home to all manner of nastiness. Think like Event Horizon, Hellraiser, that sort of thing, but like jacked up. Like reality bends, you could like meld into the wall of your ship, a la Philadelphia Experiment. Demons could get on board, you could be possessed. All kinds of nasty shit can happen. Like whatever you can think of can happen in the warp. It's nuts. So ships have what's called Geller fields that protect them, although, you know, things happen. It's like the transporter on Star Trek, right? It's always breaking the fuck down. So yeah, the warp is not a good place to be, but as I said, you can get some interesting random encounters. What else? You can make colonies, and they will aid you as well. In fact, you can get up to the point, I haven't got this far yet, but I know you can get up to a point where you get like an escort ship that flies with you. So when you do engage in ship-to-ship combat, which has its own combat system, it's not just like a random number generator. You move your ship and you fire and you do it. It's sort of akin to the ground combat a little bit, except you can fire all of your weapons. There's no like action points involved. And of course you can upgrade your ship. There's just so much going on in the game. It's really good. And you have character quests. A lot of the characters are romanceable, although I've not gotten that far yet. I've made eyes at one or two of them, but that's about as far as I've gone. Now I'm gushing, and I think this game is one that definitely deserves to be gushed over. I will say there are a lot of bugs. Now, I've not run into any that have been game breaking or have blocked my progression. More just little annoyances like pathfinding for your characters. Like if you're stood 2 feet away from the next section that you want to go to and you click it, half your party will start running around the map. It's looking for a different way to get to it, and it's like right there. This also is like, oh look, there's a crate of goods that I can open, and you click on it and off your party goes, and you're like, where the fuck are you guys going? I also found that the character selection is a bit trickier on actually mouse and keyboard. Imagine that. That's fucking weird. The way it works, because like sometimes you encounter a trap, and if you have them all follow you, they'll just blunder into the trap, so you really want to go by yourself. Now that's not so bad in mouse and keyboard, because obviously you just click the one you want and you go off. But when you reselect them, well, you don't really have a way of having a lead character. And I like to have me as the lead character because I'm the boss. Whereas on the joypad, you basically go up to them, open the character select screen, and you just hold down Y, and that will link everybody, but you'll still be in control of that one character. They will just follow you. It's actually a little bit nicer on gamepad because you just move using the left stick, whereas on PC it's obviously click to move, which it works fine. I mean, it is a role-playing game staple. I don't really have a huge problem with it. It's just quite nice to just be able to run around of your own volition on the gamepad. That's all.
What I need you to do.
So I've seen a few bugs like that. Some of the camera positioning could be better. Sometimes it blocks off. I mean, it is fully movable during combat, so it's never that much of a big deal, but it will park itself in the wall on occasions, stuff like that. I haven't really seen too many more than that, but as I say, I've only been playing for 20 hours and it's like a 100+ hour game, so this, as I say, this is very much a first impressions, because I mean, some of the systems I've already spoken about I haven't actually engaged in yet, like the colony stuff. I just know about it because I read about it when I was deciding to pick up the game. So, you know, for £25, I mean, I've got 2 weeks off of work coming up. I'm like, this this is what I'm going to be doing, bro.
Request accepted.
And I'm
Initiating
foaming at the mouth. I'm really looking forward to it, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of reading to do. If you like Warhammer 40k lore, then it's going to be like, well, Snow to a crack fiend, I suppose. Something along those lines. But yeah, and it does it all really well. I hear that Owlcat, who are the guys that made the game, were heavily involved with Games Workshop while they made it. As I said, there are a lot of bugs, and I see from forums when I was investigating like the whole keyboard issue to see if it was a game thing, because I didn't remember like the 3 times it's happened previous on the Epic Store. Oh, dumbass. But I went onto forums and stuff, and I was seeing like a lot of like bugs that were stopping quest progression. It looks like it's particularly heavy in terms of character quests for your companions, which is a bit of a shame, as they're always really enjoyable for me. But I've only done a couple so far. I've done one for I think it's Argenta, who is the sister of battle, and it's like, oh, we have a load of orphans, can you come and have a word? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, because I'm going for iconoclast, because, hey, who doesn't like being popular? Certainly not me. You can tell from my sub account. Never mind. But, yeah, so that's the only one of those I've done so far. I've done a few. You pick up sort of companions fairly regularly, from what I can tell. So I'm really looking forward to sort of going on with the game and sort of getting more characters and seeing what they're all about. I mean, I've heard some people say, oh, the characters are pretty hit and miss. I quite like the ones that I've seen so far. They all have excuse me, they all have very much their own personalities, and sort of you know who they are, basically. They all sort of fixed with a certain type of character that you see in these games, but they are done with the flair and the verve of the Warhammer universe, so that makes them inherently more fascinating than it would be if it was just like elf, dwarf, hobbit, dwarf-like mountains, that sort of thing.
You're in a bad way.
So, I mean, I would say if I were to not have gotten the discount and bought the game full price, which I still think is only like 45 quid, so it's not a terrible amount to pay for a game these days. I still have no problems paying that much for it. I'm having a great time with it. I'm looking forward to playing it more. I'm a little bit wary about possible bugs preventing me from progressing, but Owlcat do seem to support their games long term. So I imagine anything like that will eventually get ironed out, and you might just not have to do that quest and wait for it, which, you know, is what it is. It did have a beta before it was released, so hopefully it's in a much better position now. I did not play the beta. So it did come out on the 7th, so I am a little bit late, just over a month, just under a month off. But, you know, shit happens. And with you know, cost of living going on, I have more to worry about than paying for video games, such as fucking bills, basically. So there you are. But yeah, I am hugely impressed with this game, and for £25 I am made up with it. Graphically, it's not the most impressive game I've ever seen in my life. Certainly if you zoom in on the character models, they do look a little bit outdated. However, taken sort of wholly overall, it does a fantastic job of representing the 40k universe and all the grimy sort of coppery, dark, smelly shit that goes along with it. I am absolutely enjoying the game. I mean, if I'd hit a lot more bugs than I perhaps have, I might be slightly differently inclined towards it, but no, for what the bugs I've encountered and for the money I paid, I am absolutely thrilled with the game. And as I said, if I'd bought it for 45, like 20 quid more, I still would have been made up with it. I still would think that was worth paying for this game. Anyway guys, that's all for this week. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.
I will triumph.